Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and I know it's been a minute since I've made a video. Not long, it's only been like 3 or 4 days made a video like this, but stuff has happened in college basketball, and I feel like it needs to be discussed. And we're going to start off with, in my opinion, the main game from the weekend that showed the most out of anything that we did not already know before. Tennessee going in to Tuscaloosa and beating Alabama in the way that they did. They didn't beat them by a lot. They didn't whoop them. They had a lead early on in the game. Alabama gets their way back. Bama then gets a lead. It seems like Tennessee can't score. And then Tennessee just hits. And they go and they get the lead back. And then now it's going back and forth a bit. And Alabama has a really good team, of course. They were able to get, remember that one white dude was doing really good. I don't know. But I forgot his name. But him, that guy. But Dalton Knecht for Tennessee was not having a great game overall, which leads to, for a lot of teams, you would see if their best player does not perform to an elite level, they would struggle heavily. But Tennessee was not. And the thing about that is they were hitting their big shots when they absolutely needed to. Zakai Ziegler was hitting theirs. Vescovi hitting his, number 35. He hit his shots. I think he was one who hit that big shot in the corner, making a 5-point game with under 2 minutes to go. And that was a great performance from Tennessee as a team overall. Late into the game, to have a lead against Alabama, that's about a 3-point lead, 4-point lead, and keep that for 5 minutes with the type of team Alabama is, a team that can go on runs, 10, 11-point runs before you even get a shot, before you even can make a shot, let alone get a good look. Alabama, to not be able to get the lead against Tennessee in that situation at home is not a good sign for them at all, because you have to look at the way they lost last year in the tournament. This is kind of looking towards the tournament. They lost to San Diego State because they could not buy a basket late into that game, because Brandon Miller was not doing was not playing great, especially late. He was not hitting his shots when he absolutely had to. And they kind of just messed up with it. Alabama doesn't have a go-to number one like Brandon Miller was, but they have a lot of good guys. And tonight, Florida is whooping the crap out of Alabama. And Florida barely lost to them when they first played. That was at Alabama, but they barely lost to them. Florida looks real good right now. Now, something you got to think about. I think they'll win by like 20-something. They're probably going to blow them out by probably around that or a little more. But we learned a lot about Tennessee. Big clutch shot making, big defensive stops. Went like 6 for 6 whenever they had to at the free throw line late in the game. That is how you win games. And Tennessee's beat a lot of good teams on the road. They beat Kentucky on the road. They beat Alabama on the road. They've beaten a good amount of teams on the road that are like, wow, remember that type of things. And that's going to work into the tournament. Tennessee's had problems when they get to the tournament at beating teams that not are really streaky teams, but they have they're kind of Cinderella story teams. And I remember they lost to Purdue with Carson Edwards when he was dropping 35, 40 points per game. Similar to, I guess, how Kemba Walker's run was. Just Carson Edwards didn't win a title with it. He got really close to, because if you don't remember, Purdue would have beat Virginia, but Virginia somehow somehow they got him the ball close enough, threw up a shot with like 0.1 left, and went to overtime, then they went on winning the game. If it wasn't for that, they could have made the national title game. But, anyways, Tennessee, they last year lost to Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic was a 9 seed. They went on going to the Final Four. So these magical teams, they have struggles with. They can't afford that this year. They're really good defensively. They have a number one guy. Kind of reminds me how Grant Williams was kind of that area that they know who the number one guy is. It's Dalton Knecht. He's going to be probably a top 5 pick, bare minimum top 10 in the draft. He's a really good player. Give him the ball when you have to. Other thing we learned over the weekend. Baylor is for real. Baylor's for real. I mean, I mentioned this before when I was talking about the tournament specifically, and who you should trust, Baylor was one of those teams I said, you should trust this team. Guess what? They started off the game against Kansas with a poster dunk that was, if you haven't seen it, look it up because I don't think I can show it on here. But it just set the tone for the entire game. And Baylor just wrote it. Completely wrote it. And then and then yesterday they played Texas. They were down by 10, 12 points against Max Abrams. One of the top 10 scorers all time in points in NCAA history. And they come back and beat them. They come back and beat Texas, which is not a bad team at all. Come back and beat them. That shows a lot about this team. This team won the national title game like 3 years ago. This is a really good team still. And it's led well by the coach. They're going to have a lot of experience. And they're going to have a lot of good teams have to play in the Big 12. So watch out for them. And they almost beat Houston. That's one of those things. Baylor's one of the better offenses in the country. And they're one free throw away probably from beating Houston. So you got to remember that. So Houston, I think Houston's a top 3 team right now. I think they're ranked number 1. So remember that. Just remember that. Duke, they whooped the crap out of Virginia, and they beat NC State last night. They're looking good. They're looking real good right now. I hate to say it because I'm a North Carolina fan, but they are looking pretty good right now. Are they great? No. But I think they are looking very good. I mean, Roach is hitting his shots. Proctor's hitting his. Their guards are just nailing their threes. Filipowski, this is what I really learned about the game against NC State last night. NC State has this big guy. I forgot his name, but he's number 35. Number 30 or number 35. Big post player. Decent handles. He has really good footwork for his size. He was wearing Filipowski out and got him into foul trouble very early on to a point that Filipowski might have played maybe 4 minutes in the first half. And guess what? Duke was winning at the end of the first half. That is huge because the backup bigs, I think, have 13 offensive rebounds in the first half. They were out rebounding them completely. That is unacceptable if you're NC State, but a very good look if you're Duke, that your backup bigs are doing what you need to do. Good defensive rotations, getting back and hustling, and getting offensive rebounds. You don't need a bunch of these. You don't expect the Filipowski to come off your bench. You don't expect a guy that can, like a Hunter Dickinson, that's just going to go in and just and just hook shots, dunks, or drive in off the dribble drive-ins. Like, you don't expect that. You don't. But you do expect hustle, you do expect rebounds, and you do expect good defensive rotations. And that's something that they did to the elite level last night. And against Virginia, just whooped the crap out of them. Virginia, I'm losing a lot of faith in. Because their offenses, even to Virginia standards, is poor. That's like saying Iowa's offense in football is bad to their own standards. That is very bad. That is egregiously terrible if that's the case. But there's some teams that I'm looking at. It's like, wow, this is... Watch out. Watch out for them. Oklahoma almost beat Houston. That's one thing. So if Oklahoma can play like that in the tournament, watch out whoever the 1 seed is, because they're going to win the first round matchup. I think they might have to play Mississippi State. That's what I saw, I think, on the bracketology thing. That'd be a fun matchup. But them versus anyone, if they play like they did against Houston, fix up their defense a little bit, great. You scored 85 points against Houston? Wow. That is something that will catch the eye very, very easily. Teams like Baylor, teams like Kansas, that are usually very good offensively, don't do that. They don't put up 85 on Houston. Oklahoma did. Watch out for that. And then, last thing, Kentucky, you won again by putting up over 110 points. You did only win by 9, though, because I think Arkansas like 102. Like 8 or 9 points. They scored 102 points. If you don't play defense, man, like, Arkansas was hitting their free throws. They were doing everything right, but Reed Sheppard is a monster. Edwards, he's just caught fire ever since Alabama game. He's just not missed from 3. Rob Dillingham, we already know who he is. Yeah, Big Z, he's making plays. Has a center can. He's doing his job really well. And I think offensively, Kentucky is doing the best. It's the best thing you can hear if you're a fan. Is everyone on their offense knows their role and they're doing it to their best, doing it to the best possible abilities that they can. What you don't like to hear is that you cannot say the same thing defensively. They don't rotate well. They let a lot of guard drives. The rotations can be slow, and when they're slow, they end up fouling. You gotta watch out for that because Arkansas, they put the same guy to the free throw line a lot, and he just kept making them. And that kept him in the game a lot. I think like 17 free throws. He made like 16 of them. You can't do that, especially in the tournament. There's a lot of these lower ranked schools like the Vermonts that are good, the Colgates of the world, the Oaklands. They usually can make the tournament by making late game free throws. They are usually good free throw shooting teams because they have to win tournaments to be able to make it. And to be able to beat teams consistently, rebounding and free throws are the two main things. They're probably going to be good rebounding, and they're definitely going to be good at free throws. So you can't be fouling like that. I wouldn't say they have to worry in the first round, but if you ain't kidding offensively, which would be surprising to have like 18 guys that can score over 20 points on their team. But if you're not hitting well offensively, you have to fix up your defensive problems. You got to do what you can. If they have Virginia's levels defense, they would be the best team in the country. It wouldn't be close. But you would have to have, but you got to play the defense like you did against at Auburn, but also play the offense like you did at home against Alabama. And if you can do that, you will beat Houston. You will run through UConns. You will run through them. I know they're the best teams, but if you put this Kentucky offense at their best level and put a great defensive effort, they're the best team in the country. If you watch them play, you'd be like, how the heck did they have 8 losses? It's because their defense sucks. But if they fix it, but if they actually play with the defensive abilities that they can, and they've shown, I'm saying off what they've shown, they will win the national title game. They'll win the national title. But John Calipari's got to prepare them. John Calipari, who I'm not the biggest fan of, got to prepare them for the tournament in these type of games. You got to give that intensity every single game, every single play. 6 games to decide who wins the title. If you play all 6 games, you're at least in it, which is a lot in itself. So, yeah, they got to play more as a team defensively. And, yeah, put on in the comments your own opinions about everything. I know UConn whooped the crap out of Seton Hall, I'm pretty sure. That's not really much to be mentioned, to be honest. But, yeah, Purdue beat Michigan State. Zach Edey played really good. I don't trust Purdue. Look at their past history in the tournament. They have a big problem against double-digit seeds, and as a higher-ranked team, they will play teams that are closer to double-digit seeds. So, yeah. Put on the comments your own opinions about this and everything else. Hope you have a great day. Stay safe, y'all, and God bless.